You could walk into any tennis shop right now and spend $300 on a racket. But here's what nobody tells you. Some of the most successful players and teaching pros quietly recommend rackets that cost a fraction of that. Most of these budget options perform so close to their premium counterparts that the average player would never notice the difference. So today we're breaking down the 5 best budget tennis rackets you can grab right now. Let's start with a racket that's been dominating the budget category for nearly 3 decades. The Head Tie S6 is not just popular. It's the best-selling tennis racket in Head's entire history. First introduced back in 1997, this thing has outlasted trends, technological shifts, and countless competitors. The construction uses a composite weave of titanium and graphite fibers, which means you're getting a racket that weighs almost nothing at just 8.9 ounces strung. To put that in perspective, most intermediate rackets hover around 10.5 to 11 ounces, and that weight reduction makes an enormous difference during long rallies and extended matches. Your arm stays fresh, your reaction time at the net improves, and fatigue becomes far less of a factor. The head size sits at a generous 115 square inches, giving you a sweet spot roughly the size of a dinner plate. So even when your timing is slightly off or you catch the ball toward the edge of the string bed, the Tie S6 still delivers a clean, powerful response. The open 16 by 19 string pattern adds spin potential without sacrificing forgiveness. And here's a detail that often gets overlooked. The Tie S6 measures 27.75 inches in length, which is 3/4 of an inch longer than standard rackets, and that extra reach helps you get to wide balls you might otherwise miss. Combined with the head-heavy balance, baseline players with compact to medium swings will find this racket extremely natural to wield. Teaching pros have quietly recommended this frame for decades because it generates power without requiring perfect technique, forgives mishits, and comes pre-strung so you can start playing the moment it arrives. Senior players especially love this racket because the lightweight construction puts minimal stress on joints and tendon. So if you've ever dealt with tennis elbow or shoulder discomfort, this one deserves serious consideration. The Wilson Hyperhammer 5.3 has been a staple in recreational tennis for so long that it's practically become part of the landscape, and you'll likely spot someone swinging one of these at any public court in America. Wilson built this racket for players who want easy access to power without wrestling with a heavy frame, and at just 9 ounces strung it falls into the lightweight category. But don't mistake light for flimsy because the construction uses 85% graphite combined with 15% hypercarbon, giving the frame surprising stability and a satisfying feel at impact. The 110 square inch head provides plenty of forgiveness, and beginners who are still developing their mechanics appreciate how the oversized hitting area compensates for less than perfect contact. Meanwhile, the 16 by 20 string pattern tilts slightly toward control compared to more open patterns, helping keep balls inside the lines when you start swinging harder. One feature that sets the Hyperhammer series apart is the extended length at 27.5 inches, which gives you additional leverage on serves and more court coverage on ground strokes. That half inch might sound insignificant on paper, but players consistently report feeling more confident reaching for wide shots. The cushion. Era-conform grip adds comfort during extended play. And since this racket comes pre-strung, there's zero setup required and it's ready to perform straight out of the packaging. Doubles players particularly benefit from the quick maneuverability at the net where reaction time matters most. And the head-heavy balance also helps generate surprising pace on volleys despite the feather-light frame weight. This next racket might be the smartest choice on our entire list for one specific reason. The Babolat Boost Drive is essentially the entry-level version of one of the most iconic performance frames in tennis history. The Pure Drive has been used by countless professionals and serious competitors. And the Boost Drive takes that DNA and packages it in a more accessible format. Here's what makes this particularly compelling. The frame uses 100% graphite, which is the exact same material you'll find in rackets costing 2 or 3 times as much. You're not getting some watered-down composite or cheap aluminum. You're getting genuine graphite construction at a budget price point. The woofer system comes directly from Babolat's professional line, and this technology creates a longer contact time between the ball and strings, which translates to better feel, improved comfort, and enhanced control. Most budget rackets don't include features like this because they're expensive to implement, but Babolat made the decision to include it anyway. Weight sits at a manageable 9.8 ounces strung, and the 105 square inch head strikes a nice balance between power and precision. It's not quite as oversized as some pure beginner rackets, but it's large enough to maintain a comfortable margin for error. The The 16 by 19 string pattern promotes easy spin generation, which becomes increasingly important as your technique develops. What makes the boost drive such a smart investment is the transition it enables, because when you eventually decide to upgrade to a more serious racket, you won't have to relearn your timing and mechanics from scratch, since the feel and response shares enough characteristics with higher-tier frames that the adjustment becomes much smoother. Players coming back to tennis after years away find this racket particularly forgiving while still feeling like legitimate equipment. And the modern cosmetics and multiple color options also mean you won't look like you're swinging outdated gear. The Wilson Tour Slam has quietly built a reputation as one of the most dependable budget options on the market, offering exceptional value with technology borrowed from more expensive lines. The oversized head measures between 110 and 113 square inches depending on which version you select, and Wilson offers both the standard Tour Slam and the lighter Tour Slam Lite, which share the same core technology but differ in weight, with the light version coming in around 9.7 ounces for players who prioritize maneuverability. V-Matrix technology expands the sweet spot beyond what you'd typically expect at this price point, and that larger effective hitting area provides noticeably more forgiveness on off-center contact. Volcanic frame technology adds power and stability to your shots, making serves feel more explosive while volleys maintain their pace, and ground strokes carry weight without requiring a massive swing. The Power Bridge design lengthens the mainstrings, optimizing rebound speed and generating additional pop, while stop shock pads positioned at the 3 and 9 o'clock points reduce string vibrations so extended play becomes more comfortable because less impact stress transfers through the frame and into your hand and forearm. Like every racket on this list, the Tour Slam comes pre-strung, and Wilson built this frame specifically for recreational and beginner players who want solid all-around performance without complexity or high cost. The aluminum construction in the light version makes it incredibly durable, handling accidental court scrapes without showing damage, and many players keep a Tour Slam as a reliable backup racket even after upgrading to more expensive frames. Now let's talk about the hidden gem I mentioned at the beginning, the Yonex Ezone. 100L occupies an interesting position in the market because it's technically a performance racket in a lighter package, making it accessible to players who might otherwise find flagship frames too demanding. Yonex updated the entire Ezone line for 2025 with meaningful improvements rather than just cosmetic changes, thickening the beam at the tip and throat to increase stability without adding significant weight, and new Minilon technology weaves silk fibers into the shaft specifically to absorb vibration, so your arm stays fresher and more comfortable through long sessions. The isometric head shape is a Yonex signature, and instead of a traditional oval, the frame uses a more squared-off geometry that expands the sweet spot in all directions for more forgiveness and better response even when contact occurs away from center. At 100 square inches, the head sits smaller than the oversized models we discussed earlier. And that's intentional because this racket is designed for players who have developed some consistency and want their equipment to reward cleaner striking. The trade-off is slightly less forgiveness in exchange for better control and feel. The two GNA-MD speed materials in the graphite construction improve energy transfer. So when you accelerate through the ball with good technique, more of that energy converts to ball speed rather than frame flex, and advanced intermediates will immediately notice the difference in how their best shots feel. What makes the Ezone 100L such a compelling choice is the development path it opens, because this racket can genuinely grow with you. Unlike pure beginner frames that become limiting once your skills improve, the Ezone 100L continues to reward better technique, and many players keep this exact model for years without ever feeling like they've outgrown it. Professional players on tour actually use the heavier versions of this exact frame, so you're swinging the same mold the pros trust. And the 2025 updates specifically address stability concerns from previous generations, making this the most refined EZ-ONE yet. So, there you have it. Each one suits a slightly different player and playing style. The question is, which one fits your game right now? Or are you looking for maximum forgiveness while you develop fundamentals? Drop your answer in the comments, and thanks for watching.